Hello again, Misfits. It's time for another 1 minute review, and we are having a good time here at the studio today because I'm just chainsawing the hell out of everybody. I just absolutely love it when I cut people into kibble and then make them in my little barbecue tray, right?
Yummy.
Yummy. So, in case you couldn't tell, this is a review of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game by Trick or Treat Studios. I love these guys. These guys do awesome horror-themed games of all types, from making horror movies to specific movie games. We did an unboxing of this not long ago for Halloween, actually, if I'm not mistaken. And we got a chance to play it a few times, actually, and it's actually a lot of fun. So, not that that's surprising at all, but, just in case, maybe Texas Chainsaw isn't your thing, you're like, what game can you make out of it? They actually made a very clever little game out of it. So, the whole goal of the game is actually relatively simple. You play one of multiple characters that have kind of sort of special abilities. They all have their own little special thing, but generally, for the most part, you're going to be doing the same thing with most of the characters. You're going to be running out here because your van broke down, and you need to get keys and gas and get back to the van before, you get killed. Because, that's generally the end of everything, right? When you get killed.
This was pre-Uber, so.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Yeah, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have Ubers back then. So they had to go into creepy places with cannibal families to get your gas and keys if they wanted to live. I'd be on the phone like, hey, Uber. So you go into here now. The actions are very, very simple. You have 2 free moves every round, although you will take damage as you go, and if your damage fills up, you're not able to take those free moves anymore, which is very important. But you're basically going to move your character around, and basically, as you go along, you're going to be picking up these tokens, okay? And that's important because, obviously, underneath the tokens, you have the gas, and you have the keys hidden under them. So the idea is you have to hit as many spots as possible. You have to hit all these spots until you find the gas and keys. Problem with that is, of course, is Leatherface is running around, right? He's going to come and get you. So what happens is you move around. Any tokens you happen to land on go in this barbecue tray. But you start out with some in this delicious little flesh bag made by the flesh of my enemies. So at the end of the round, you'll pull tokens out of it. And you actually it's actually kind of a push your luck mechanic. So the first thing you pull out is, okay, what is it? Bones or nothing. Now you could stop there if you want, or you can keep pulling. Now you'd be like, okay, I think I need to go, because what happens is if you pull from here and you pull this little action icon, it gives you extra actions, which is good because that gets you just do more. It lets you move, it lets you pick up things, trade, whatever. Generally, one of your 4 actions, it's basically a free action that you normally wouldn't get. So you pull through, but if you happen to pull Leatherface, guess what? He goes towards you, which is bad because eventually he's going to get you. And if he gets you, he gives you wounds, you run away some more. But the idea is you're getting more wounded as you go along. Now, you also get wounded if you end up in this close-up area here, so sometimes it forces you really to push to try to get more extra tokens so you can get out of the area so you don't take wounds. Problem is, if you ever get enough wounds and he catches you again, you get put on a meat hook, which is bad. You don't want to be in a meat hook.
That sounds uncomfortable.
It does sound. It is quite uncomfortable, I assure you. You have an option to escape, but if you fail, you end up dead. And if 3 people die, game is done. Now, not to say you won't play another character, because if your character happens to die, yeah, you'll pick another character, but again, you have a limit of how many can get put on that meat hook and killed. And it's not easy to get off, so don't count on that being a thing. As you go along, too, you pull other tokens for the family, which only increases the danger, because as you pull Grandpa, he's going to hang out in the dining room, then you have other people that'll chase you, send you to the Grandpa, he'll do damage to you, and basically harass the crap out of you. It's all bad. It's all bad. Now, we played the basic one where we didn't have objectives, so it was a little easier for us because we didn't have to push our luck as hard because we just pretty much needed to get the gas and keys, get back to the van, and get out. And you could search for items. I forgot you do search and get items as you go along too, which sometimes there's like not great search things in there. Sometimes there's bad stuff in there too. But it was easy towards the end where we didn't really have to do a lot of searching. We just used our movement to get out once we found the gas and keys. However, I recommend using the objectives. The objectives make you do specific things. That way, it forces you to have to push your luck. Like in this one, draw one of each of the following tokens on one turn: Leatherface, bones, eye, and a photo. If you pull eyes and photos and other things, it does give you little triggers on the board where you can look at tokens and stuff like that. There are more beneficial tokens, but for the most part, 3/4 of the tokens are bad. So these objectives kind of force you to have to push your luck and do things, I will say, or the game can get a little easy. Like we didn't have a ton of trouble and nobody died in ours because we basically avoided him. We had a couple of wounds here and there, but for the most part, we avoided him, got the keys, and got out. So if you want to, you can actually amp up the threat level in this game or force you to do more, press your luck, which I think is kind of important if you want a more difficult game. But it's nice though if you want a very simpler game, if younger people are playing, it makes it kind of easy. Although I don't know any 7-year-olds that probably want to play Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but hey, each their own. And that's the whole game. It's a lot of fun. They kind of made a solid, simple, and it's not necessarily simple per se, but it's not really complex either. It's a very lightweight game. And just make it a ton of fun, a chase game if you would, but it gives you enough of a threat where you're kind of getting a little anxiety or whatever. It's a lot of fun. I give this game a solid 4. It wins on theme, and despite it being a simpler game, which usually I'm kind of a little more critical of simpler games, it actually fits this very well. You're running around, you just want to have fun and get out of there and not get killed by Leatherface. I will say if you want a little more tension, if you want a little more problems, if you want to make it a little more of a nail biter, definitely add the objective cards. The first game though, it says not to, and that's fine. I even give you kind of an idea, but I think without the objective cards, it's almost a little too easy because you're not forced really to push your luck as much. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, this game. Theme is great. The components are solid. This flesh bag is absolutely awesome. It has a nice little velvety intestine interior, which I highly recommend. They knocked it out of the park as far as theme goes, and yeah, it's just a ton of fun, guys. Check it out if you like horror theme games, if you like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you just want a simple murder escape game that plays in like a half hour or roundabouts there, this is definitely a game for you guys. But if you're looking for something a little more complex, a little more weighty, this is not going to be the game for you. I enjoyed it a lot, but if you're looking for something a little more, with a lot more in-depth mechanics, you're not going to really find it here. It is a fairly simpler game. But otherwise, a great game, especially for the Halloween season. If it's past that, play it on Christmas. Who cares? I play all my. Who doesn't want to chainsaw people on Christmas, especially families? Oh. Oof. Anyway, guys. Until then, of course, make sure you always know what barbecue you're getting into. And until then, of course.